I told her I'll do anything to be with you, you know that. And she said, as long as my mom's alive, I can't be with you. She made that very clear.
I felt, how else am I gonna escape? It seemed like taking her out of the equation completely was the only option.
Nicholas Godejon is asking for a retrial, and Gypsy Rose should be worried because she might not be free for so long. For those who have forgotten, Nicholas Godejon was Gypsy's boyfriend, the one who helped her unalive her mother and got sentenced to life. This is super messed up, so let's get right into it. As y'all already know, Gypsy Rose was released from prison in December 2023, but judging from all the drama that has been going on, it looks like Gypsy has not been well adjusted to her new life after 7 years as an inmate. First of all the public attention was just too much, and if her family or management, assuming she has one, were wise enough, they would have helped her figure things out. But that wasn't the case. Gypsy has been doing the most, to the point that the very same people who were awed by her stories started slowly turning against her, especially after she said this.
I don't associate myself as a murderer because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there. But he's the one that did the actual kill, not me. I can't kill anyone. That's why he's in trouble to begin with, because he's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify.
Now, this did not sit well with a lot of people because he didn't have to throw Nicholas under the bus like that. Even if that's what Gypsy believes, she had no business saying it out loud like that. Plus, the timing was so bad. Why was she even taking interviews in the first place? Then the unexpected happened. News started spreading around that Godejon was asking for a retrial, you guys.
The Wisconsin man serving a life sentence for killing a Springfield woman is hoping for a new trial.
A jury convicted Nicholas Godejon of murder for the stabbing of Dee Dee Blanchard in 2015.
So this new development is causing a stir as he appeals for a lighter sentence. Nicholas argues that his punishment was too severe, especially after realizing that his accomplice would be eligible for parole after serving just 7.5 years. It's a complex situation with both legal and emotional considerations at play.
Whose idea was it to kill mother?
Mine.
Why did you want to kill mother?
Because I wanted to be free of her hold on me.
Did you and Nick ever talk about this?
Yes,
Who initially brought up mother?
I did.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Nicholas Godejon, guilty of murder in the first degree.
Remember, not only did Nicholas get life without parole, but he also received an additional 25-year sentence for his involvement in the planned criminal actions. Like, sentences just keep piling up for him. According to Godejon's new team of attorneys, Nicholas's previous legal team fumbled big time. Their main argument is that, well, for starters, they're saying his old lawyers missed the mark by failing to request a change of venue. Why does that matter, you ask? Well, because once this case hit the mainstream media, it became nearly impossible to find a local jury that hadn't already formed an opinion. Nicholas's new lawyers aren't stopping there. Nope, they are also claiming that his former legal team dropped the ball by not exploring the argument that Nicholas's actions were partially influenced by his autism.
In elementary school, he was diagnosed with autism. Nick was autistic, and perhaps he was unable to form the necessary intent to commit first degree.
A low-functioning person with autism.
They're suggesting that Nicholas's mental capacity should have been taken into account during his trial. I mean, it's a bold strategy, but will it be enough to sway the courts? Furthermore, this new legal dream team had one last bombshell to drop on his former lawyers. Brace yourselves for this one. They claimed that the old lawyers didn't do their due diligence when it came to investigating and presenting evidence to support the claim that Gypsy Rose Blanchard was the mastermind behind the whole ordeal. And that, my loves, is the part that is likely to put Gypsy in trouble. Again, as I had said earlier, her PR team should have helped her censor what she says in public after her release, because in the wake of such allegations, she's literally implicating herself by saying things like this.
I don't associate myself as a murderer because if you think about it, yes, I had a part to play in it. I asked Nick for help. And how that conversation started was, you know, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes. And then the plan kind of formed from there. But he's the one that did the actual, not me.
I don't know about y'all, but looks like a legal drama is about to play out right before our eyes. If you thought the new attorneys were done, nah, because here comes the kicker. These attorneys aren't just making empty claims. They've come prepared with evidence, some even pulled from the court documents and discoveries from their original trial as part of their defense. Talk about bringing out the big gun. These guys are pulling out all the stops to prove their point and turn the tables on Nicholas's former legal team. And it would be super interesting to see how this unfolds, but one thing's for sure, this retrial will place Gypsy Rose at a very bad spot. This is exactly why I believe these interviews will put Gypsy in hot soup. One moment she claimed to have requested Nicholas to unalive her mom, but just years earlier, she had confessed to talking him into it.
I told her I'll do anything to be with you, you know that. And she said, as long as my mom's alive, I can't be with you. She made that very clear.
I felt, how else am I gonna escape? It seemed like taking her out of the equation completely was the only option.
It all felt a little bit too convenient, and people felt she was making light of her role in the incident that led to the demise of her abusive mother. And if that wasn't enough to stir the pot, her husband hasn't been doing her any favors with public opinion. He went on record saying that Gypsy was manipulated by Nick. You see, it's these half-truths that will be used against her. If only she kept quiet about this one thing. Because as we speak, the unforgiving court of the internet has been striking her. Y'all know how it normally goes, right? Once the online world finds out there's a reason to beef with you, it's like opening Pandora's box. Suddenly, all sorts of other cases come tumbling out, and right now people just seem to have an issue with everything that Gypsy does. She can't even breathe in peace before someone gets irritated. Still on Nicholas Godejon's plea, there is an argument about Nicholas's the attorneys are claiming that while the last set of attorneys did a lousy job, they would also love for a judge and jury to consider that Nicholas lacked understanding of the legal process due to his mental challenges.
I should actually bring up another moment when I was 14 years old, and that's when I first glimpse of it. This is when I realized that all the other things that were building up in me were basically jeopardizing my inner happiness, my inner peace, and all the rest of that. Because I remember seeing one night, it was at 9 o'clock at night time. I was in my grandma's house. I just remember looking in the mirror and I saw a glimpse of something I didn't recognize in my eye. And then it went away. It was almost like something was trying to tell me, oh yeah, I'm there. You've created me, I'm there. And so really, I knew there was a darker part of me, and I was actually quite terrified to actually explore it. And now I actually regret exploring it with Gypsy. She's the one I hoped I would be brave enough to actually explore it with me, just so I understand what's inside.
Unfortunately for them, the judge assigned to this case wasn't buying it, so he denied their motion, especially the attempt to use Nicholas's mental deficiencies as a get-out-of-jail-free card. However, that doesn't mean that Gypsy is on the loose, because Nicholas's team is back to the drawing board to form a stronger case. So if I were Gypsy Rose, I'd be careful what I do or say in public, because she is really implicating herself. Do y'all remember when we said no one should put a microphone in front of Jada Smith? Yeah. We need that for Gypsy Rose too. So if you sense she's about to talk, take that mic and run. In fact, as we speak, things have gotten more intense because there's a new development in Nicholas's legal saga, y'all. Nicholas's public defender swooped in and filed yet another appeal for a new trial. It's just that there's no deadline for the court to respond to this fresh appeal, so as much as it looks like it's a never-ending waiting game and Nicholas's fate hangs in the balance once again, this could go both ways. I'm pretty sure that there could be a retrial and the final ruling would be very different from the first because, remember, other than the evidence aside, the public opinion about Gypsy Rose is very different. She's no longer the naive 21-year-old who went to prison years ago. Gypsy has fallen out of favor with the general public a lot, to the point that observers are now saying Nicholas's sentencing was too harsh given the circumstances, and these are the same people who will be in the jury. In one of the many interviews Nicholas has done, someone left a very interesting comment. I think he deserves a new trial. He was manipulated in the interview to say whatever he needed to free Gypsy. You see how the woman keeps saying, do you love Gypsy? Don't you want to protect her? Anyone in the autism community knows that even the person conducting the interview manipulated this man and used his disability against him. Hopefully there's a new judge or lawyer that's really educated when it comes to autism, and they will step up and do what needs to be done. Autism awareness has come a long way, but it still has a way to go. Anyways, as we fold our hands and wait to see how this eventually unfolds, if you personally know Gypsy or have access to her, please ask her to shut up, at least for now. What annoys people more is that Gypsy is just as manipulative as her mother. Remember, even during her first interrogation after her arrest, Gypsy Rose pretended not to know what had happened to her mother.
I'm thankful because I have no idea why I'm here.
Okay.
Nobody will tell me anything.
Yeah, that's fine, and that's kind of why we're here. You do have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you in a court of law.
I don't really have a computer.
Okay.
No.
Did you ever have a cell phone that you played around on or anything like that? No? Okay. No laptop or...
No.
Well, we know that that's not true. She obviously did have access to all of those things, and I'm sure the cops knew that by now, and we're just trying to get a confession at this point.
If you're involved in this, then you need to tell me that now. Okay?
I'm completely 100% honest.
Let me talk for just a second, okay? I'll be honest with you as long as you're honest with me, okay? Your mom's, okay? Now, what I want to ask you is, your mom's passed away, okay? And she's deceased, all right? Now, what I want to ask you, did you have involvement in this? Okay? Just, hang on, listen to me for just a second, okay? I want you to understand something. Okay?
What happened with mental health?
Okay, just listen to me, okay, sweetheart? You know what happened to your mom, okay? You know exactly, sweetheart, listen to me.
Did something happen to my mom?
And that's what I'm asking. Why?
She had a lot of medical conditions.
Okay, this is not a medical condition. You know that. It's not a medical condition at all, okay?
Please tell me she did not commit. Sorry, she had bipolar.
Okay, we're not going to get off on that track. We're not getting off on that track, okay? You know what happened.
Can you believe it? She was there. She planned it. Heck, she even provided her weapon and gloves. She even took to Facebook to post about her mother's. She would later go on to maintain her innocence, but only changed her statement only when she realized that there were facts already out there and there was no hiding from the authorities.
I did. I talked him into it.
So now, as the layers of deception continue to unravel, most people are feeling sorry for Nicholas, saying he was a victim of Gypsy just the same way Gypsy was a victim of her mother. Gypsy has a history of speaking from both sides of her mouth, which has raised serious questions about her credibility.
I was processing it all, but I felt a sense of guilt because I'm hearing these words like, your mother was a whatever. She deserved it. And I'm like, no, she didn't. I think the one thing that people think is that I hated my mom. And I'm like, no, I loved my mom. I just wanted out of that situation. I wanted out of that home.
On the other hand, Nicholas has been super honest since the get-go. His story has remained consistent throughout the investigations and trial.
He said that it's us against the world and that he's gonna protect me no matter what.
You know, he was saying that he would protect me from anyone. I said anyone. He said yes. I said even my mother. He said yes.
I felt guilty about the whole situation. I had to make sure she was safe. And meaning, I had to make sure she felt like she could be comforted by you. Okay. Yes.
So when the new set of attorneys say that there was bias during the first trial, there could be some truth to it because maybe Gypsy kept changing the narrative to get a lighter sentence. Gypsy literally manipulated poor Nicholas because why did she throw him under the bus immediately after he got the job done? Remember, even while in prison, Gypsy never took accountability for her role in that incident. In response to fan mail, she said that Nicholas was 100% responsible for her imprisonment. The fan then asked, what is your feeling towards Nick? Do you regret meeting him? Gypsy's response will have your jaw dropping. She said, I don't have any feelings for him. He is my ex, he is my past, and I do regret meeting him. Had I met a real man who I confided in to help me get out from my mother's grasp, I would not be sitting in prison right now. A real man would have called the authorities to get me away from her. I take responsibility for my part in the crime, but he played the bigger part. Whew, poor Nick.
I think that we both, like him and I, both have a lot of regrets. You know, obviously I wish that this would have never happened this way. Now for him specifically, you know, I did my time. I know he's doing his time for his part of things. Mm-hmm. You know, I hope that whatever he does with his future, because he is spending the rest of his life in prison, I acknowledge that I am the reason for that. However, I don't feel either that it's a situation where it's a sympathetic type of situation.
Okay.
And I mean, the reason why I say that is because in my past relationships, I've had 2 relationships since I've been incarcerated. And each one of my exes and even my husband is like, baby, if you would have asked me that question, if you would have said, hey, can you call my mom to get me out of this situation? They would have said, no. Okay, no, we're not doing that.
Let's go to the police.
Let's go to the police. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get you out of this situation, but let's go to the authorities, all right? And we're gonna do this the right way. Nick did not say that. You know, he has these dark fantasies. He wanted to do it. It was a fantasy he lived out, and he's paying the consequences for that. So with that being said, you know, it's neither here nor there for, in my opinion, what I think of the situation. It's just, it is what it is.
It is what it is? I'm literally speechless. The same Gypsy that's now condemning Nick also said this.
Nick asked me, are we still doing this? Am I still, coming there to do this? Yes or no? And I said yes.
Who talked to it? Mother.
I did. I talked him into it.
We're knee-deep in the web of conflicting narratives, and I legit understand why people now feel sorry for Nick. And don't forget, he wasn't 100% mentally. As his life wastes away in prison, Gypsy is out here insisting that she doesn't identify as a murderer.
Like, it's something that I'm gonna have to address because it's always in my comments. Like, why are we glorifying a murderer and this and that and the other? And, I don't want to have to remind people every single time that I'm not the one that committed the act. He's the one that did it. So when they say I'm a murderer, I don't identify as that.
Okay, granted, life is more complex than choosing black or white, but in Gypsy's case, anyways, that's life for you. Messy, contradictory, and oh so complicated.
He definitely did it. He definitely told us exactly how he did it, and it matches.
He'll be honest. He's honest.
Yeah.
He's honest.
And it matches. Everything he said matches our scene and everything, and it's consistent. And
I just want you to know that, whatever he's done, he is a good kid.
I get that feeling when I talk to him.
He is a really good kid, and anything you ask him, he will be honest with you.
I think this case is so rare that everyone involved was guilty, but everyone involved was also a victim. People like this kid shouldn't receive the same sentencing guidelines as someone with absolutely no mental impairment. Some people even have an issue with her celebrity status. People treating her like a pop icon is insane. And as always, there are the ones who will go to the ends of the earth just to side with Gypsy. She pretty much has spent her whole life in some kind of prison. Let her be. She is still learning the world. We're expecting someone whose life revolved around abuse, manipulation, and deception to suddenly act like she was raised by 2 healthy, normal parents. I don't know about y'all, but I think that people might have very high expectations from her instead of just letting her settle in, because if you really think about it, this is Gypsy's first taste of freedom. Her main undoing is her stance on Nicholas Godejon. All she had to do was simply admit to manipulating Nicholas out of desperation to escape her dire situation, and much of the controversy would have faded.
Is she is she taking any sort of, is she like, well, okay, it was me too, or is she trying to put it all on?
She takes some responsibility, but not much. Not much at all.
Anyways, after all is said and done, who are we to judge? Survivors don't have a rule book or a manual to follow after doing time. But even if there was one, these people still have emotional struggles. And so in complex cases like Gypsy's, we really need to manage our expectations of ex-convicts because it's literally not clear who's a hero and who's... I'd love to hear your opinions, loves. In case of a retrial, do you think Gypsy will have to face the law again for manipulating Nick? And do you think Nick will have his sentence reduced? Let me know down below, and please turn on that notification button for all the latest scoop on celebrities and influencers.